After a moment of silence, driven by an obsession he couldn't understand and a hint of absurd hope he couldn't suppress, he opened his web browser. In the blank search box, with a sense of fate, he slowly and solemnly typed those 3 words, Lin Ruoxuan. The page refreshed, and a wealth of old, dusty information filled the entire screen. Lin Ruoxuan, CEO of the New Generation Technology Group, rings the bell for listing on Nasdaq today. 2011 news. From a campus milk tea shop to an AI medical beauty giant, the legendary journey of Lin Ruoxuan, the commercial queen worth billions. 2012 news. Revealing the most beautiful CEO Lin Ruoxuan. Did her first pot of gold come from a cup of milk tea? 2012 news. The old headlines and images matched perfectly with the face that had accompanied him through countless days and nights in the game, witnessing every moment of growth. Her resume was astonishingly impressive, starting from her tea shop, precisely striking in the financial market, being hailed as the female stock god, and sharply sensing trends to decisively shift into the fields of artificial intelligence and medical aesthetics, founding the New Generation Technology Group. All leading up to her glorious listing on Nasdaq 14 years ago. Every timeline and key event aligned perfectly with the trajectory he had guided in the game. But something was off. Why were there almost no recent reports about her after the listing? How could such a dazzling business star almost disappear from the media's sight after reaching her peak? He suppressed the growing unease in his heart and clicked directly on Lin Ruoxuan's Wikipedia entry, his fingers stiff with inexplicable tension. The entry coldly recorded the events that unfolded after the New Generation Technology Group went public, 6 months after the listing. The founder and CEO Lin Ruoxuan suddenly announced her withdrawal from the company's daily management due to health reasons, gradually reducing her shares until she completely exited. Without its sole figure, the New Generation Technology Group, after experiencing a brief false prosperity, faced a loss of its core technical team, a chaotic direction, and rapidly headed towards collapse and disintegration, with its stock price plummeting dramatically. In the end, in 2015, just 4 years after its listing, the company completely delisted, disappearing without a trace. Lin Ruoxuan herself vanished after leaving the company, as if she had evaporated from the world, with no public news about her since. Below the entry, there are only a few unverified rumors and hearsay from recent years. According to insiders, the long-missing Lin Ruoxuan is suspected of making a low-key comeback, having invested in several investment institutions and the cultural media industry under her own name or an offshore company, but she has never made an appearance. Some fans claim to have spotted Lin Ruoxuan, the former milk tea queen, quietly in the audience at a small concert by singer Song Jiru, looking calm. On a certain live streaming platform, an anonymous account once tipped over 10 million virtual gifts during the performance of the song Ordinary Road, leading to speculation that the ID and behavior patterns were related to Lin Ruoxuan. Suddenly, an absurd thought exploded in Su Yunjua's mind. Could it be that everything just now was not just a realistic game? Had he unknowingly intervened in the reality of another time and space through some incomprehensible dimensional rift, shaping this business queen with his own hands? Otherwise, how could he explain her fondness for songs like Changzhou and Ordinary Road? Those were clearly the only songs he had sung to her during those casual or emotional moments. But in the next second, he shook his head vigorously, laughing to himself, decisively extinguishing this crazy thought. How could that be possible? It did not conform to any known scientific laws. It seemed more like the delusions of someone on the brink of despair. It was evident that the game designers had created this nearly realistic immersive development game based on this real and mysterious business queen. After all, in this era of technological explosion, creating lifelike virtual images has become effortless. Moreover, the next goddess is the real-life diva Song Jiru, further indicating that the characters in the game are designed based on real celebrities. So, all of this was merely a meticulously designed game. Chapter 016, Moving. Saying goodbye to the past, Su Yunjua continued to search online, and amidst the chaotic flow of information, he finally found a recently captured blurry photo taken by paparazzi, with the caption indicating it was a profile from a charity gala in 2020. In the photo, the 30-year-old Lin Ruoxuan had shed her youthful innocence and looked even more breathtaking. However, the pair of eyes that once spoke had become eerily silent, resembling a deep pool. Completely different from the girl who could cry, laugh, and act spoiled. It was indeed not the same person. It was just an illusion after drinking. He rubbed his temples vigorously, trying to dispel that illusory figure from his mind. Then he turned off his phone, collapsing onto the bed, feeling utterly exhausted. 2 hours later, his biological clock stubbornly pulled Su Yunjua from his chaotic light sleep. The effects of the alcohol had completely worn off, and clarity returned to his mind. Reflecting on everything that had happened last night, the tears, the hysterical breakdown, now felt somewhat ridiculous, even a bit embarrassing. He must have really overdone it. He actually broke down over a virtual game character, looking out at the busy morning outside and then at the messy room that had become chaotic overnight. A strong urge to completely bid farewell to the past surged within him. He picked up his phone and sent a leave request to his boss. Then he found his close friend Xinjia, who worked at a real estate agency, on WeChat and typed, "Bro, do me a favor and list my apartment for sale. ASAP." Xinjia almost replied instantly, filled with shock. "Aren't you about to get married? Why the rush to sell the wedding house? Are you crazy? Not getting married anymore. What the hell? What happened? Don't be impulsive. Besides, with the current market, if you rush to sell, you're looking at least a 30 loss. That is painful. It's fine, just sell it quickly." Su Yunzhou paused his fingers on the screen. "Also, help me find a suitable studio apartment for rent, close to the company. I need to move today." Xinjia fell silent for a few seconds, seemingly realizing the seriousness of the situation, and didn't ask further. "All right, I'll help you look. Stay calm, we'll talk when we meet." Su Yunzhou quickly packed up his clothes and laptop. He took down and ripped apart the wedding photos hanging on the wall, throwing them into the trash. As for the new furniture and decorations bought for the wedding, he didn't even glance at them, feeling they carried a disgusting aura, too dirty. By noon, with Shen Jia's help, Su Yunzhou moved into a simple studio apartment near the company that was just over 20 square meters. The small space with white walls somehow made him feel at ease, as if it could completely isolate him from the past. After understanding the situation, Shen Jia patted his shoulder with a sigh. Buddy, take it easy. Discovering this now is better than after getting married. At least it's not a second marriage. By the way, Song Jiru is coming to Binzhou for a concert this weekend. I have a few tickets for the inner area. I'll give you one to help you unwind. Sing a few songs, and who knows, you might meet a beautiful girl and start a new life? A concert? No interest. Su Yunzhou instinctively refused, but halfway through, he suddenly paused. Wait, who did you say? Song Jiru. In his mind, the irritating reminder from the second level of that damned goddess development game flashed before him. It was indeed Song Jiru. However, he quickly shook his head and let out a self-deprecating laugh. He had long noticed that the game was developed using real-life celebrities as materials. One had to admit, they were quite bold, not afraid of copyright infringement. Huh? Moreover, with so many restricted scenes and interactions, it was no wonder the game could only be released discreetly, out of the public eye. Meanwhile, in the luxurious suite of the Shangtian Hotel in Binzhou, Su Qianran woke up in the morning, lazily picked up her phone, and tried to add Su Yunzhou on WeChat again, only to find that the message couldn't be sent. She was taken aback for a moment, then scoffed disdainfully. Oh, Su Yunzhou, you've grown some guts, huh? Daring to block me? Fine. This time I won't forgive you easily. Let us see how you beg me later. Next to them, Chun Beichun was awakened by the noise. He chuckled, pulled her over, and pressed her down without hesitation. Annoying, you're here again, Su Qianran half-heartedly protested, then wrapped her arms around his neck, asking in a spoiled tone, Chen Xiao, you will marry me, right? When will you take me to meet our parents? Upon hearing this, a trace of barely perceptible sarcasm crossed Chun Beichun's face. Baby, marriage is the grave of love, how boring is that? Isn't this good enough for us right now? Su Qianran's heart sank, but her face remained pitiful. Chen Xiao, Su Yunzhou has blocked me. He must know about us now. You have to take responsibility for me. She wasn't foolish. Seeing Su Yunzhou's sudden change in attitude, she had already guessed most of it. She figured it must be that talkative female colleague who had betrayed her, after all. She had seen her get into Chun Beichun's car, and also had Su Yunzhou's contact information. Thinking about it, she couldn't help but curse inwardly. Indeed, beware of fire, theft, and best friends. Chun Beichun casually moved his body. Don't worry, that clingy guy will be back begging for you before long. He loves you so much and has invested so much. The sunk cost is too high for him to give up. Just stick to your story that you went back home to see your mom yesterday. What evidence could he possibly have? When the time comes, just cry a little. Make a fuss, and if he softens, won't it all be over? Su Qianran was actually quite sure of this as well. She knew Su Yunzhou's almost blind love and sacrifices for her too well. Even if he really found out something, as long as she made up a decent excuse, he would most likely choose to forgive her. Moreover, they were about to get married, with all their friends and family notified and the hotel booked. At this crucial moment, Su Yunzhou had no way out. Sooner or later, he would have to come back to her. Humph, no matter what, how dare you doubt me and even block me? How infuriating. If I don't handle you properly this time, I want to be called Su Qianran. She feigned a sorrowful expression and said, Chen Xiao, you really can bear to see me with him? Just the thought of sleeping next to him in the future makes me feel sick. Those past few years were such a waste, squandering so much youth. A twisted pleasure flashed in Chun Beichun's eyes as he chuckled. Hee, don't you think that's more fun? Once you two are married, we can continue our affair. On your wedding bed, looking at your wedding photos. We might even have a child for him to raise. Besides, breaking up with him now would be too easy on him, right? Hurry up and get married. Then you can divorce him later and drain his family's wealth. That way, your 5 years with him won't be in vain, right? Thinking about Su Yunzhou filled Chun Beichun with pent-up frustration. Back when he relentlessly pursued Su Qianran, there was a night in the school grove where he almost succeeded. Only for Su Yunzhou to suddenly appear and knock him out, ruining his chances. Later, he gathered a few people to seek revenge, but ended up getting caught by police during a crackdown on crime, enduring great humiliation and ultimately having to study abroad. Therefore, he vowed not to rest until Su Yunzhou was made to suffer immensely. Chapter 017, Is this memory really true? Su Yunzhou felt groggy in his cramped rental apartment after taking a nap, waking up around 3 in the afternoon. The haze of his hangover had completely faded, and the cold reality lay clearly before him, forcing him to confront his predicament. With a monthly salary of 30 to 40,000, he was considered to have a decent income by other standards, but after paying rent, he was left with only 5 to 6,000. Over the past few years, Su Qianran and her family had drained his savings like a bottomless pit, using various excuses. For every holiday and anniversary, he had to prepare expensive gifts, not only to please her, but also to show respect to her entire family. Roughly calculating, he had spent at least 500,000 on her over the years. Worse still, he was burdened with a mortgage and had taken out personal loans for wedding preparations and dowries, totaling over 2 million in debt. Even if he bit the bullet and sold the wedding apartment at a discount to pay off all the loans, he would only be left with around 400,000, still owing the bank that amount. After years of hard work with what seemed like a glamorous salary, working late nights, overextending his health, he ended up in such a situation. It was truly laughable. At least he had stopped the bleeding in time. He could only comfort himself internally. Money could be earned again, and seeing the truth about people was a blessing. Moving forward, he had to be more discerning. With this thought, the pressure in his heart indeed eased a bit, and he even felt a trace of long-lost, almost cruel relief. Finally, he no longer had to work tirelessly to satisfy that family's endless demands, staying up until dawn and pushing his health to the brink. Moreover, finding a reliable lawyer to help organize the transaction records and file a lawsuit to recover some money might be possible. He rubbed his throbbing temples, got up from the bed, and walked into the tiny bathroom, splashing cold water on his face. Looking up at the mirror, he saw his weary face with dark circles under his eyes. He could not go on like this. He needed to pull himself together, start anew. Before heading out, he thought of Lin Roakshuan again, the girl from the game, who he had nurtured from a naive 18-year-old into a business queen. Her smile, her playful nature, her cleverness, her occasional rebellion, and every dazzling detail of her growth felt vividly alive. It felt as if she truly existed in the game. With a complex, indescribable feeling, he unconsciously opened his computer again and clicked into the game goddess cultivation. Well, let us take another look at her. He dragged the timeline, reliving the moments spent with Roakshuan. Suddenly, the timeline stopped on the day they traveled to Qingzhou. Su Yunzhou casually scanned the screen, but the next moment, his pupils dilated, and he abruptly leaped from his chair, eyes wide, staring fixedly at the screen. In the scene, Lin Roakshuan was not alone. She was standing in front of a couple with a little boy, taking out a business card from her handbag and handing it to the husband. That couple's faces were incredibly familiar, just a decade younger, and they were unmistakably his parents, Su Zhongshan and Yang Wenwei. The little boy, looking up with a face full of curiosity at the sugar painting stall, was startlingly his 10-year-old self. How could this be possible? Su Yunzhou's breath caught. His mind went blank, and his heart raced uncontrollably. When he was 10, he did indeed travel to Qingzhou with his parents. But why was he appearing so clearly in this game? Did the game developers use surveillance footage from that time? Not to mention that in early 2010, there was no high-definition surveillance everywhere like now. Even if there were, how could they possibly obtain it? More shockingly, did he really meet Lin Roakshuan when he was a child? In that era, without smartphones, and where the internet was still developing. In the ancient street of Jinli in Chengzhou, he had actually had a brief encounter with this business queen? Su Yunzhou suppressed the pounding of his heart, trembling fingers continuing to watch. In the footage, Lin Roakshuan gently bought the sugar dragon that the little boy longed for, then walked into a nearby tea house with his parents. Lin Roakshuan seemed to be primarily asking his parents some basic information, with a subtly urgent and inquisitive demeanor. His parents, however, wore expressions of clear vigilance and politeness, seemingly only vaguely informing her of their hometown's location, without revealing more personal information. A flicker of disappointment passed over Lin Roakshuan's face, but she quickly adjusted her emotions, took out what appeared to be an ordinary USB drive from her bag, solemnly handed it to his father Su Chongshan, and then stood up to politely say goodbye and leave. The more Su Yunzhou watched, the more his heart raced. He tried hard to recall the trip to Qingzhou. During that family vacation in Jinli, he did cling to a sugar painting stall, and there was indeed a particularly beautiful and graceful older sister who came over to talk to him and bought him the most difficult sugar dragon. He seemed to remember stuttering and being shy and nervous while speaking. Was this memory something that truly existed? Or was it a product of his mind filling in the gaps after watching this game footage? He shook his head vigorously, trying to clear his chaotic thoughts. That's right. His parents. They must know. He felt as if he had grasped a lifeline, quickly took out his phone, aimed it at the computer screen, and recorded this unbelievable encounter clearly. Just as he was about to find his father Su Chongshan to ask what was going on, his phone rang first, displaying the word Dad on the screen. He took a deep breath and answered the call. Immediately, his father's anxious and confused voice came through, clearly filled with anger. Qingzhou. What on earth is going on? Ranran just called us, crying uncontrollably, saying you want to kick her out and sell the wedding house. It's normal for young people to argue. Why can't you sit down and talk it out? Why does it have to come to this? Do you know how much you lose by selling a house? Don't be impulsive. Su Yunzhou's heart sank, and he tried to keep his voice calm. Dad. This matter is very complicated, just don't worry about it. By the way, I just wanted to ask you, when we went to Qingzhou for tourism back then. Su Chongshan interrupted him directly, his tone more urgent. Can we not take care of this matter? Can we not worry about your marriage? We are already on our way to Binzhou. Whatever happens, we can discuss it when we meet. After saying this, without waiting for Su Yunzhou to speak again, the call was hung up. Su Yunzhou held the phone that had gone busy, waiting for the others to arrive to show them Chun Beichen's chat records. After all, the other party was driving, and it would be worse if they got agitated. The key point was that he also needed to show them photos and videos of Lin Roakshuan to help them recall what happened back then. So everything would be discussed in person. He put down the phone and saw a WeChat message from Shun Jie pop up on the screen. Brother Zhou. I just took a client to see a house, and sister Su Qianran has returned. When she saw us in the house, she yelled and jumped around like crazy, saying we were thieves, and even forced both me and the client out. What should we do now? Su Yunzhu's eyes turned cold, and he understood. It must have been Su Qianran returning to the marital home, discovering that he was serious, and had even brought the agent over, which panicked her, leading her to urgently call her parents to cry for pressure. He took a deep breath and replied to Shunjia. Sorry, brother, for causing you trouble. I will handle this matter properly when I return. Chapter 018. Not a family, not entering the same door at 6 in the evening. Su Yunzhu returned to the marital home that had once held countless dreams, but now only felt uncomfortable. As soon as the key was inserted into the lock, the door was suddenly pulled open from the inside. A figure, carrying a floral fragrance, blocked the doorway. It was Su Qianran, with her eyebrows raised and hands on her hips. She looked just like a cat with its tail stepped on. Su Yunzhu, you still know to come back. Her sharp voice pierced through the corridor. You've become bold. Huh, selling the house secretly while I'm not around? You even dared to block me? Who gave you the guts? Su Yunzhu ignored her shouting, calmly scanning her with his gaze as he walked straight into the house. In the living room, just as Xinjie had said, it was a bit messy. Obviously having gone through a scene of chaos just moments ago. I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? Su Qianran stomped in high heels, rudely blocking his way again. Telling him, this marital home is half mine. If you want to sell it secretly, you won't get through. Now, immediately, take me off your blacklist and kneel to apologize. Otherwise, I will never forgive you, and I will never get the certificate with you. Su Yunzu finally stopped, slowly turning around. The gaze that once held warmth now turned icy, landing on her face, making her inexplicably shiver. Su Qianran, haven't you finished your act yet? Su Qianran gasped. Her momentum instantly weakened, but she quickly raised her voice in an attempt to cover her insecurity. What do you mean? Speak clearly. Don't act mysterious here. My dad will be here soon. Let's see how you explain. Explain? Su Yunzu seemed to hear the greatest joke. Explain to your mother who is seriously ill in the hospital? Are you still going to explain to that guy in the Ferrari? Who made you so eager to jump into his bed on the day you were supposed to get your marriage certificate? Su Qianran's face turned pale in an instant, and a hint of panic flashed in her eyes. You're talking nonsense. You're slandering me, she retorted sharply, her fingers trembling. Just because you're incapable, you can't stand to see others do well, right? Is that wretched Zhang Xiaoyu feeding you gossip? Tell me, have you been involved with her all along, plotting against me? Before she could finish, the door was slammed open with a loud bang. Su Qianran's father, Su Dazhuang, and her brother, Su Yawang, stormed in with an intimidating presence. Su Dazhuang's beady eyes scanned the room and landed on Su Yunjua. Adopting a tone of authority, he said, what is going on? The noise is so loud it feels like the sky is about to collapse. Can't you two discuss things properly? Why cause such a disturbance to the neighbors? Su Yawang, with a forced smile and a slick tone, added, brother-in-law, calm down. If my sister did something wrong, just give her a little lesson. But you can't just throw around words like breakup. The invitations have already been sent out, and the hotel is booked. If this falls through, where will we put the faces of our two families? Su Yunjua glanced at them and smiled. And Zhang hasn't come. Seems she's really unwell? Su Yawang's expression stiffened. And he immediately retorted, brother-in-law, that's not funny. How can you curse our mother? Su Yunjua was too lazy to argue. He took out his phone, opened the chat history and shocking photos sent by Chun Beichen, and shoved the screen in front of Su Dazhuang and his son. Take a look for yourselves. It makes me feel sick just to talk about it. Su Dazhuang's face darkened as he took a good look. Suddenly, he raised his hand and slapped Su Qianran across the face, leaving 5 red marks. Shameless. Apologize to Su Yunjua right now. Dazed and reeling from the slap, Su Qianran couldn't believe that Chun Beichen, that pervert, would provoke Su Yunjua just to satisfy his twisted desire to humiliate him. Fortunately, that pervert hadn't gone so far as to take explicit photos, or there would have been no turning back today. Gritting her teeth, she covered her face and cried. It's fake. All of this is fake. Su Yunjua, you teamed up with Chun Beichen to fabricate this just to slander me. I've never even met him. Su Yunjua was almost amused by her shamelessness and coldly asked, oh, then where were you last night? I was scared at the thought of getting the marriage certificate and needed some time alone. Su Qianran's voice trembled, her logic attempting to justify her actions. I was just panicking at the thought of being tied to you for life. I ran out to calm down. Is that not okay? Everything is because of you. If you hadn't pressured me so much, would I have run away alone? It's all your fault. You should apologize. Seeing her textbook-level shamelessness, Su Yunjua lost all desire to argue. He was done discussing the matter of the 20,000. This woman could surely come up with another excuse. Fine, keep acting. Since we're not getting married, from today on, you go your way, I go mine. Now, please leave my home. Su Dazhuang frowned tightly at his resolute attitude. Xiao Zhou, your words are too hurtful. Even if Xiao Ran has done something wrong, you can't be so heartless. She's a girl who has spent 5 years with you, wasting her youth on you. You say break up, and it's over? Su Yawang immediately chimed in, right. If you want to break up, fine. But this house is the marital home, and my sister has a share. It must be split equally. Also, you need to compensate my sister 200,000 for her lost youth. She has been with you for 5 years. It can't be for nothing. He quickly calculated in his mind that even though house prices had dropped, this house could still sell for around 7 to 1, 8 million. Splitting that and adding 200,000 could get them back about 1 million, and he would also have a place to live. Su Yunju looked at this family of leeches and felt disgusted. It was clear they were not of the same kind. He turned to leave. You have 3 days to pack up your things and get out. If you're still here after 3 days, don't blame me for calling the police and reporting you for illegal occupation of someone else's home. Seeing him about to leave, Su Yawang instinctively reached out to grab his arm to stop him. Su Yunju suddenly turned around, his gaze sharp as a knife. Let go. Your current behavior is breaking and entering and assault. I wouldn't mind calling the police right away. The evidence is clear, and you could easily end up behind bars for 3 to 5 years. Su Yawang was intimidated by the fierceness in his eyes. He had never seen this usually timid brother-in-law show such a terrifying side. Reluctantly, he released his grip, forcing a twisted smile. Brother-in-law, look at what you're saying. We are family. Family? Su Yunju scoffed. I can't afford that. With that, he walked away, leaving this mess behind. He had more important matters to clarify with his parents about the shocking mystery surrounding Lin Ruoxuan. As soon as the door closed, Su Dazhuang's expression darkened, and he looked at Su Qianran. Is that guy named Chun Beichen really rich? Su Qianran nodded repeatedly, her tone eager to please. Yes, very rich. His family runs several big companies and owns over a dozen properties, plus several luxury cars. He is not like Su Yunju, who has emptied his pockets and is burdened with decades of loans. Su Yawang's eyes lit up at this, rubbing his hands excitedly. That's great. Having this new brother-in-law is even better. Sister, you must seize this opportunity. Su Dazhuang squinted, calculating as he gave orders. Find a time to bring him over and have a good chat with him. As he spoke, he glanced around the exquisitely decorated house, a glint of ruthlessness flashing in his eyes. As for this house, we can't let Su Yunju off so easily. Your new boyfriend is wealthy and powerful, right? There must be a way to make him hand over this house to us willingly. Su Qianran tightly clutched her phone, feeling uncertain about Chun Beichen's attitude. But thinking of Su Yunju, a cold light flashed in her eyes. Su Yunju, you think you can leave me for someone new? No way. If you don't come back to beg me, I won't let you have it easy. Chapter 019. The mysterious USB drive at the entrance of the community. Su Yunju saw his parents getting out of the car from a distance. He took a deep breath and quickly walked over. Dad, Mom. Su Chongshan looked at his son standing alone in the cold wind, his brow immediately furrowing. What is going on? Why are you standing here in this freezing weather? Aren't you going to go inside and talk? His mother, Yang Wenhui, quickly grabbed his hand. Xiao Zhou, couples often have arguments, but that child, Renan, can be a bit temperamental. Just coax her a little and everything will be fine. You can't impulsively say you want to break up. Su Yunzhou didn't answer directly. He just forced a tired smile, silently took out his phone, quickly swiped on the screen a few times, and then handed it to his parents. Dad, Mom, take a look at this first. Su Chongshan and Yang Wenhui took the phone with suspicion and under the streetlight. They leaned in closely to examine it, their expressions gradually changing. After quite a while, Su Chongshan finally sighed heavily, patted his son's shoulder, his voice a bit hoarse. Since it's like this, Dad supports your choice. Just don't compromise yourself. Yang Wenhui's eyes immediately turned red. She wiped her eyes, her tone filled with concern and relief. I knew you weren't someone who would act recklessly. You must have been wronged. Su Yunzhou took back his phone and shook his head. Dad, Mom, let us not talk about her for now. I have something more important to ask you. Su Chongshan was taken aback. What could be more important than this? After all, the wedding plans being called off was a huge loss. Not to mention it would make them the laughingstock among friends and family. Su Yunzhou didn't explain. He directly pulled out a high-definition photo he had saved earlier of Lin Ruoxuan when she was younger and turned the screen towards his parents. Take a good look at this. Do you remember her? 15 years ago, when our family traveled to Qingzhou, we met this girl in front of the sugar painting stall in Jinli, right? She even talked to you. He didn't dare to directly show them the video from the game. Firstly, he couldn't explain its source, and secondly, he was afraid it would disturb his parents' original memories. Su Chongshan squinted, staring at the woman in the photo, scrutinizing it for a long time. With a hint of uncertainty. Now that you mention it, there was indeed a striking girl who came over to talk. What do you mean maybe? It's definitely her. Yang Wenhui seemed to have her memory jarred awake. I remember it clearly. That girl was so beautiful and had such a great aura. She even handed your dad a business card, acting all mysterious. I was worried we might have run into some high-level scammer. Hearing this, Su Yunzhou's body jolted. A shiver like electricity shot up his spine. The scenes in the game were actually real? He suppressed his racing heart, his voice trembling with urgency. Did she give you a USB drive? Said it was a gift for me and that I could only open it 10 years later? Yes, that did happen. Yang Wenhui exclaimed, look at my memory. I was about to forget it if you hadn't mentioned it. How do you remember everything? Su Chongshan also finally recalled, nodding repeatedly. That is right. There was indeed a USB drive. After I returned, I was curious about what was inside, so I secretly opened it. Only to find a bunch of incomprehensible programming codes in English, all jumbled up. I asked a few people, but no one understood it. I didn't think much of it, and ended up not knowing where I put that USB drive. Where's it now? Su Yunzhou suddenly clenched his fists, feeling that he was getting closer to the truth. How many years have passed since then? Su Chongshan was startled by his reaction and tried to recall, thinking that when he got home, he just tossed it aside. It's hard to say if it's still there. Let's go home and check now. Su Yunzhu's tone was urgent and brooked no argument as he pulled his parents to the car. Yang Wenhui was baffled by his frantic demeanor, murmuring as she followed. What's so urgent? That girl must be at least 35 or 36 now, right? Maybe she has kids who can even run errands. Su Chongshan chimed in, yeah? Did you just meet her back then and can't get her out of your mind? Now you're heartbroken and thinking of your childhood crush? Su Yunzhou knew his parents misunderstood. But he didn't have time to explain. He quickly took out his phone and searched for news about Lin Ruoxuan ringing the bell at the stock exchange, shoving the screen in front of his parents. She is Lin Ruoxuan, the founder of a new generation tech company, who went public on the stock exchange 14 years ago and was once a business queen worth hundreds of billions. Su Chongshan stared at the image on the screen, depicting someone standing at the pinnacle of the world's financial center, receiving everyone's attention. After a moment of careful recognition, he gasped, my God, this girl is actually so impressive. Yang Wenhui was also stunned. I thought she was a fraud back then. Su Yunzhu's vague suspicion was becoming clearer, but he still needed final confirmation. Without saying a word, he pulled his parents and quickly walked toward the parking area. On the way, Dad, Mom, fasten your seatbelts. Su Yunzhou drove at high speed. Su Chongshan, sitting in the passenger seat, nervously gripped the armrest. Son, slow down. Safety first. Su Yunzhu's parents lived in a town under Binzhou, which wasn't far away. It usually took about an hour to drive. However, today, this journey felt incredibly long to Su Yunzhou. Finally arriving home, looking at the old house where he had grown up, his heart raced uncontrollably, as if something was about to burst forth. The three of them immediately began rummaging through the old house. With the passage of time and numerous items, searching for a small USB drive from over a decade ago was like finding a needle in a haystack. Just then, Yang Wenhui's gaze suddenly fell on a dusty ceramic piggy bank on top of the bookshelf. It was a chubby pig, Su Yunzhu's piggy bank from childhood. Hey, I seem to remember that USB drive. Didn't your dad think there was no place to put it and just stuff it into this pig's belly? Without saying a word, Su Yunju directly reached for the heavy piggy bank and smashed it onto the ground. Crack! With a crisp sound, the ceramic pig shattered into pieces. And countless yellowing coins and a few small denomination banknotes rolled out, splattering everywhere. Amidst the pile of change and ceramic shards, an old-fashioned black USB drive lay quietly. After all these years, could it still work? Yang Wenhui looked at the inconspicuous little object with a hint of worry in her voice. Su Yunju remained silent, his fingers trembling slightly with barely suppressed excitement. He grabbed the old USB drive and forcefully plugged it into the laptop's port. Click! A faint recognition sound echoed in the silent room, making it particularly clear. A prompt immediately appeared in the lower right corner of the screen, indicating that removable disk H was connected. Chapter 20. 1000 Bitcoin. Su Yunju took a deep breath, quickly moved the mouse, and double-clicked on the disk icon. The disk space was nearly empty, with only a solitary file lying there, Bitcoin Wallet DAT. The modification date of the file prominently displayed, January 9, 2010. Upon seeing the file name and date, Su Yunju's pupils dilated. He remembered. Last night in the game, he thought it was an Easter egg left by the developers. He had casually instructed Lin Ruoxuan, in the guise of the system's father, to collect over 10,000 bitcoins during the early days when they were nearly worthless and store them across multiple USB drives as the most primitive cold wallet. This one before him was one of them. He immediately downloaded specialized software compatible with this old wallet format. After the installation was complete, he attempted to import the wallet. A password input box popped up on the screen. It was a 4-digit password. Su Yunju recalled that Lin Ruoxuan had set it to 0803. That was the day he first appeared in her life. If this password was correct, then the Lin Ruoxuan in the game and the real-life business queen who had mysteriously disappeared after ringing the bell at Nasdaq were undoubtedly the same person. This realization made his heart race, and with barely noticeable trembling in his fingertips, he typed in each digit 0803 enter. The wallet interface refreshed in response, smoothly completing the import. Balance 1000 BTC. A simple yet heavy line of numbers prominently displayed in the center of the screen. What is this? A bunch of numbers? Su Chongshan leaned over, looking at the string of characters on the screen with a bewildered expression. Su Yunju remained silent. He was afraid that directly stating this was virtual currency worth over $100 million would scare his parents. After some consideration, he explained in as calm a tone as possible, this is 10 bitcoins. Now, one is worth about $110,000. How much? Su Chongshan's eyes instantly widened like saucers, and his voice changed pitch. 110,000? Each? In US dollars? Just from this little USB drive? So these 10 would be $1,100,000? Yang Wenhui was also stunned, followed by a wave of immense confusion. Why would such a big boss, with money not easily earned, casually give such a frightening thing to a child they barely knew? This doesn't make sense. Could there be a trap? Su Yunju tried hard to make his explanation sound reasonable. Back in 2010, this thing was practically worthless, just a few cents each, and even giving it away for free wouldn't attract interest. Even if there were 1,000 of them at that time, their total value might not even cover the cost of that USB drive. It was common for people involved in virtual currencies to give them away to promote the concept. Just like the founder of Ethereum, who reportedly gave away thousands to attendees during a roadshow in a certain city, and back then, very few wanted them. Now, those have become worth millions. So, in that context, giving this away was really not surprising. It was like handing out a beautifully printed flyer. Su Chongshan had heard of the wealth myths surrounding certain cryptocurrencies, having caught glimpses of them in the news. But he never imagined such a legend would come knocking at his own door. He struggled to digest this sudden information, his shock gradually replaced by overwhelming joy as he patted his son's back firmly. Good boy. It seems that fate is fair. If it shortchanged you in one aspect, it has compensated you elsewhere. $110,000, converted to local currency, exceeded $7 million. For an ordinary family, this was a significant amount that could change their lives, yet it wasn't astronomical enough to lead to complete financial freedom. Sitting at a threshold that allowed parents to slowly digest and accept the shock, Su Yunju capitalized on this point to help his parents gradually come to terms with it. After a simple dinner, he carefully put away the USB drive and picked up his computer. Dad, Mom, I need to head back to my place. I have work tomorrow. By the time he returned to his cramped rented room, it was already late at night. Su Yunju felt no sleepiness. He opened the game titled Goddess Cultivation again, clicking into the now grayed out save file of Lin Ruoxuan. He dragged the timeline back to the trip to Qingzhou, finding the moment Lin Ruoxuan, after encountering his younger self, looked in the direction he left, her eyes filled with a sense of warmth and an incredible connection, softly murmuring, "Tyrant, don't you think it's strange? That little boy, his features and demeanor, really resemble you. If I didn't know you were just temporarily recharging, I might almost think you had reincarnated and appeared before me." She tilted her head slightly, revealing a playful and purely kind smile. "Since we have such a connection, Tyrant, weren't you always telling me that this little thing called BTC might be valuable in the future? Then I'll gift him 1,000 as a New Year's present. I hope it brings this little guy, who looks so much like you, less trouble and more happiness in life." However, after a while, as if suddenly recalling something crucial, Lin Ruoxuan jolted awake from her emotional state, frustratedly slapped her forehead, and furrowed her brows. "Oh no, Tyrant, I was foolish." Her tone was filled with genuine urgency. "I just realized I forgot to tell him the password. Without the password, it's useless." Su Yunju listened to her words repeatedly, each one striking his soul like a heavy hammer. His feelings about this game evolved from mere shock to a kind of spine-chilling awe that touched the depths of his soul. Everything it recorded was indeed a part of real history. It was not just a game. but a mysterious window connecting the past and the present in a way he couldn't comprehend. However, there remained a